I found a kid who swings a golf club like a dream. I'd like to try to qualify him for the U.S. Amateurs.
Coming to Apple TV Plus.
What's your name?
I'm not into older guys, but I'm flattered.
A new comedy series, Stick.
I don't want to go on this trip.
Your mouth's saying one thing, but those eyes are saying something else.
From the home of Ted Lasso.
This is your shot at redemption? This is your mulligan?
Owen Wilson.
This game takes and it takes. The game's finally giving me something back.
Stick.
You know Arnold Palmer?
Iced tea, lemonade, mix it.
I'm missing a nap for this.
Streaming June 4th on Apple TV Plus.
Now's a good time to remember where tequila's story truly began. In 1795, Cuervo invented tequila.
Cuervo.
What are you doing here?
Cuervo. Anytime someone says Cuervo, I show up.
Well, I do know that to be true, but even during ad reads, like...
Cuervo.
I think you could lay out, especially for one of our great partners.
Sweet, delicious Cuervo.
Since then, Cuervo has stayed true to its roots. The same family, the same land, the same passion.
Cuervo.
So, enjoy the tequila that started it all. Cuervo.
Cuervo.
The tequila that invented tequila. Proximo. Cuervo.com. Please drink responsibly.
Cuervo.
This is the Hockey Show. My name's Roy Bellamy. That's David Drake of the Hockey News. Ethan and Rosie are in the shipping container. They are our producers. We have the Stanley Cup Final matchup set and ready. It's a rematch between the Florida Panthers and the Edmonton Oilers. Game 1 is going to be on June 4th. We're not going to talk about that right now.
Dude. No, we're not going to talk about it right now?
No, we're not going to talk about that right now.
I'll take a step back.
The whole
Shut up, Ethan!
rematch.
Ethan, shut up!
It's one of the great Stanley Cup Final matchups of all time. What do you mean we're not going to talk about it?
I said right now.
Right now.
Right now, we're not going to talk about
No.
it.
What are we going to talk about?
We are going to talk about...
Welcome to the Hockey Show. We're not talking
We're not talking hockey right now. By the way, Bob Wischusen is going to join us in a little bit.
Can we talk about hockey?
The voice
with
of
Bob?
hockey.
The
voice of hockey.
He is one of the voices of hockey. He works for ESPN.
Will we talk about hockey with Bob?
We will talk about hocky with Bob.
Non-goalie Bob.
Non-goalie Bob.
Okay.
The guy that talks for a living.
Broadcast Bob.
Yeah.
The voice of hockey.
He's one of the voices of hockey.
Ethan's a big fan.
Yeah, he's a big fan. Yeah, he has his phone number. That's how he booked. That's
my friend.
Yeah,
Love Bob. Great guy.
A little buddy. Anyway, we're not going to start talking about the Stanley Cup Final yet. What we are going to talk about is a conversation that we had with Rose last night.
Oh, no.
That was not hockey related. You and I separately were watching the Western Conference Final, obviously, right?
We were?
Yeah, we were. And out of the blue, in our chats.
Just as Connor McDavid scored.
Yeah.
Just as
The
he scored.
breakaway?
Yeah.
That was pretty beautiful.
That was...
Yeah.
We'll talk about hockey soon.
Yeah,
we're not doing it yet.
Yeah, you're trying to
I want to
throw
make
us off
Roy
the
any
scene over here.
angrier.
But with this conversation that we had, the four of us, we're in this group chat. Usually for show prep and stuff like that, as Rose just can't stop laughing because she's thinking about what happened last night. Yesterday, all right, she said it was sandwich day. That's the first thing she said. It's sandwich day.
Connor McDavid scores, and Rose says...
We did have sandwiches for lunch yesterday.
Well, I thought it was
and we've been
something
talking about going to lunch after the show for months now, and we haven't done it.
That's what I
Not
thought.
doing it today
Are we all
either.
going to make sandwiches
Right.
and give them to each other? Like
are we going to Mr. Baguette after or something like that?
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing?
I didn't pay it any mind.
Sucked me right in.
But David didn't know what was going on, and he wanted a little bit of further clarity.
It was the best because they did answer, so...
Well, because Rose, and just to explain what she was doing, she decided to go line for line of a scene from Lilo and Stitch.
Yeah. Oh, man. I'm trying to relate the story over here.
Wait, so she texts me, Rose texts me, I'm also watching the game, I'm exhausted, and Rose texts me, if you know what I'm doing, don't say anything. And I texted her back, Rosie, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Nobody knows what you're doing.
Nobody knows what you're talking about. She said every Thursday I take Pudge the fish a peanut butter sandwich, and today we are out of peanut butter. That's when I got sucked in because I don't know what she's talking about.
No, like who feeds their fish peanut butter?
I don't know what that means. And then I'm like, and today we were out of peanut butter. And then Roy answered.
Wait, this is the best message here.
Yeah.
Rose writes, do you know what tuna is? And Roy writes, Bill Parcells.
Tuna.
No. And the best part is like, and today we don't have peanut butter. And then Roy's like, you have a fish, ... And you feed it peanut butter and bread. That's when I started laughing.
Yeah.
And I couldn't stop with the joke.
And then obviously we're talking about cannibalism with fish over here. Like I'm like,
fish only eat fish. What are we talking about? We're getting back to this again.
Yes.
Like, you don't want to feed the fish. What else are they eating? Is the fish having steak for breakfast? Like what are we doing here?
Well, do regular fish, like, let's say, okay, I don't know what they're called, so I'm just going to refer to them as Nemo characters.
Clownfish.
Just like, no, I know, thank you. I know Nemo's a clownfish, but I don't know what Dory's called, right? It's a blue
Angelfish.
Blue something. No, Dory's not an angelfish. Dory's a blue something.
That sounded pretty smart.
Does Dory eat Nemo, or is it more like sharks eat Nemo and
I think
other
sharks
fish?
eat Nemo.
Dory is a blue tang.
A blue tang, thank you.
Blue tang.
A regal tang, also known as a blue tang.
By the way,
a
Finding Dory,
surgeonfish.
Blue
we
Tang
love
Clan.
We love movies. We love Pixar on this podcast. Finding Dory's better than Finding Nemo.
Oh wow, I never seen it.
Oh man, yeah. But the thing is that it ended with Royce saying, "She ate a gummy, didn't she?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's when it all made sense to me.
Yeah. I thought that you were hacked. I asked you offline if you were hacked.
Yeah.
Did you really?
I did.
Oh, man.
Rosie,
That would have been
your
worse.
WhatsApp was hacked. I'm like,
Yeah, I got
guy.
fine. I mean,
I think I threw in a picture of Pudge Rodriguez at one point.
Yes, you did. That's
That
the
was
only
a great
person that we
reference as
know.
well. Pudge Rodriguez and Bill Parcells references. That's a great conversation.
When I asked her if her WhatsApp was hacked, that was where our chat is. She said, "Wah ha 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 ha." No, quote unquote.
I'm just looking at the messages that I added to this. What the bleep are we talking about here? Fish literally only eat fish. Late to what? What's happening right now? And then Pudge Rodriguez.
That's unbelievable. I actually thought that this was her distracting us from having to think about traveling to Edmonton for games, potentially games 5 and 7 yet again. And I can feel Ethan's look.
Listen, I've come around a little bit on this because Rosie told me about her adventure last time. I didn't know the full details, where she had to fly from here
We've
to
only
Dallas.
been saying it for a year.
Then she had to fly to San
listen
Francisco.
to the
No,
show.
I listen, you guys. But it was. Hold on. One
If we're
second.
gonna talk about my travels, I'm gonna say it.
No, 1 second. So let me just say that when I heard your travels, I heard 7 different cities, and I didn't know how they all went. And then you had to drive from Calgary to Edmonton, which sucks. Don't get me wrong, but still. Okay, so Rosie had to go from
Let me remind you my
Florida
travel.
here,
No,
Dallas.
San Francisco at one point?
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
First, I had to go from Miami to Houston. Then I lost my flight from Houston to Denver. So they had to change it from Denver to San Francisco. Then from San Francisco to Edmonton. In Edmonton, there is a storm. So we have to fly all over Edmonton. Oh, we run out of gas. So we had to go to Calgary. We fill the tank, and then we go back to Edmonton.
That was just game 4.
that was the first
Listen,
time.
don't get me
Just
wrong.
one.
That's brutal. But
And then they lost 8-1.
you guys still
7-1.
But you guys
Excuse
still
me.
interviewed. No, it was 8-1. You guys still interviewed Alexander Barkov on the ice after he
That was
became
at
the
home.
first
That
Finnish
was at
captain
home. That was at
to
home.
lift the Stanley Cup. So
Ethan.
you didn't have to go to Edmonton if you didn't want to,
We did.
but you went.
There's no way, because
It sucked.
If they wouldn't have gotten beaten, 13-2 in those 2 games or whatever
horrible.
it was. If they would have actually closed out the series there, like so many of us thought they would, there was no way we're going to miss that.
Yeah.
There was no way.
Well, remember, Dmitry Kulikov and Vladimir told us that him and Vladimir Tarasenko, even they didn't believe they were going to close out the series in Game 6.
Yeah.
You remember that?
Speaking of belief,
That locker room was trashed after game 6.
total side note, and I know we'll get to this later. Speaking of belief, the Panthers down 2-0 in Game 5 in Carolina the other night when it looked bleak as hell and Carolina looked great.
So angry.
I ran into Max Ivanov, Panthers skills coach, in intermission, and I just looked at him. I'm like, rough period. And he goes, I think we're coming back.
Oh, that's belief.
Like, straight
That's
dead face.
They're an amazing team.
And then I
That's
saw him in
when
the
we know.
second
It's
intermission, and he
unbelievable.
just laughed at me.
It's rigged.
It's rigged.
That's what my mom thinks. My mom starts chiming in on hockey all of a sudden. She's like, I think the NHL is rigged because they didn't
My
want
mom
the Panthers
always
to go to
does
the.
this too.
It's like,
Where-
dude,
wherever
why would they
there's
put Florida
always
up
says
3-0
this too.
if it was like, oh my god.
Wherever there's
Right, I'm getting
money,
personal.
there's
Yeah, you
but,
Let's go to wins and fails.
What just happened?
Did Rose just glitch?
Before I transition, what was that?
What was that?
That's why I said let's go to wins
But
and
she's
fails. 'cause
talking.
I
No,
just
I want
turned
an
off.
explanation about
Like
this.
the call just dropped.
No, I was like,
Into the microphone.
no, I was gonna say let's go to wins, but I didn't want to get your steal your thunder.
When did that ever stop you?
Wins and fails brought to you by Jägermeister. Serve it cold or don't serve it at all. Jägermeister. Damn, that's cold. For more, visit Jägermeister.com. Drink responsibly. Rose, I'm sorry. You just distracted me. I'm done for the rest of the show now. I'm just like off because of what you did last night, and you just short-circuiting. I mean, what is going on, man? Dave, go ahead.
So speaking of things that are cold, referencing our awesome sponsor Jägermeister, my win of the week is cold because
no,
because my win of the week is the Carolina Hurricanes. Congratulations to you for your win of the week, your first win in the conference final. In 16 tries. So, congrats. Nothing really to it. I don't want to, just, slow clap. Good job on you guys. Next time, when you don't play the Panthers, maybe you'll win 2 or 3 or even 4. It might be a few years. I think the Panthers kind of set themselves up pretty well for the conference final for a while. But props to you, Carolina. You didn't get swept. The streak is over. I know Rod the Bod was happy to not be able to talk about it anymore. So, way to go.
Happiness did not show during the handshake line. We'll talk about that later. My win of the week comes from the International Ice Hockey Federation's World Championship for the men. The United States plays Switzerland, with both teams going to overtime. The Buffalo Sabres forward Tage Thompson carried the puck into the zone, into the faceoff circle, and fired a wrister for the golden goal. This win earns the United States men their first IIHF gold medal in 92 years. Damn. 92 years. It's been a good run for USA Hockey this year in 2025. You just saw the men win gold. The Four Nations team won silver. The World Junior team under 20 won gold. The World Junior, that's for the men. The World Men Junior team under 18 won bronze. The World Women won gold. The World Women under 18 won silver.
That's a lot of goodness for our country.
Yeah, and they still got the Winter Olympics coming up in Milan in 2026.
Oh, I'm gonna try to go to that one.
You look like you're dressed for it.
Yeah. No, I'm gonna try to go to the Milan. Can you imagine that?
Can you imagine the hockey show covering the Winter Olympic hockey?
Guys.
That might happen because I am going.
Good luck trying to
Rose
convince.
will be representing the hockey show in Milan.
Like I gotta do the talking for that one. Ethan.
I don't have a win of the week this week, Roy.
Rose.
Fails of the week.
So my first win of the week is, of course, our boy Barkey, when he did that assist. He completed the game. Yeah. That assist. Look at him.
This was sick.
Oh,
This might be his statue.
That was the best.
Him holding off Orlov here might be his
That was a holding penalty, by the way. That was a holding penalty on Orlov. Did not matter.
They let a lot go.
And my second win of the week is actually Roy. He scored. Also, look at him in practice.
Whoa!
Yeah. 1, 2, 3, and there he goes and scores.
Hey.
Yeah.
You got the crisscross tape job going too. I like it.
Look at that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in pain.
You might wanna
I'm hurt.
Get your
right
legs into that, Roy. Get your legs in that shot,
jersey a little
now.
bit.
No, my feet were hurting.
Yeah.
My shoulder feels like it's out of place right now because I kept crashing into the boards.
Untuck the jersey in the back. It's bad luck.
Untucked it. It's bad luck.
Bad look.
Oh, it was a bad look.
Yeah, it's bad luck. That's all.
Oh, I will do that.
We don't want to see your hockey pants.
Okay, I will do that 2 weeks from now because I think next week Wednesday is going to get postponed because of game 1.
Yeah. Now, here's my question for you though, as I watch you move. And when was the last time you got your skate sharpened?
About a month ago, I think, or 2 months ago.
Might be time to get them sharpened.
Yeah. I think so. Yeah, I looked pretty slow out there. I kept falling as well.
Feel better.
What's your fail, Dave?
My fail of the week comes from the PWHL finals between the Minnesota Frost and the Ottawa Charge. Pretty funny moment when Manny McMahon and Melissa Chinell-Watkins got their helmet cages tangled up. And the referee, for whatever reason, did not want to stop play. She's literally standing next to them. They're screaming at her, "We can't move! Help!" And the ref was just like, "Yeah, keep playing." And this was This was Game 3 of the final, the game that ended up going to triple overtime.
Can you imagine it being 4-4 after that?
Oh my God! So Minnesota eventually won the game. They eventually won the series. Congratulations to them, back-to-back champions for the PWHL. But that was one that I had not seen before, and I hopefully won't see again.
My fail of the week comes from this play by Jesperi Kakaniemi. Seth Jones was handling the puck behind the net, and look at this.
I hate this.
Kakaniemi leapt. He left his feet, right? He left his feet, jumped. His skate went horizontal. He put his elbow up like he was trying to elbow him, trying to get a piece of Jones. And then he swung his stick with his left hand, and the stick hit the boards head level.
Yeah, right.
where Seth Jones would have been.
That's not. Ugh, I hated that so much.
That's 4 things that I just mentioned right there that were so dangerous.
And some people were saying that he was trying to avoid knee-on-knee contact, but when you watch the replay and the way that he's coming in and the angle he's coming in, he's just trying to make contact. There was their legs were kind of lined up, but it wasn't going to be a knee-on-knee hit because
no, Jones moved his leg out of the way anyway.
Yeah, so I don't know exactly what he was thinking. But thank God Jones was out of the way there because it was like one of those Matrix things where like slow motion things are just whizzing by that could potentially hurt him. But I didn't like that at all, dude.
That's ridiculous. Ethan.
All right, my fail of the week goes to me. A few months ago, I went to watch the Oilers and Panthers play, and afterwards I had a hot take, and that take has not aged very well. We're going to roll it right here. Went to watch the Stanley Cup champion Florida Panthers last night take on the team they knocked out in the Stanley Cup Final, the Edmonton Oilers. Mm-hmm. And the Edmonton Oilers are 3-6-1 in their last 10. They've lost 5 in a row.
Yeah,
I got a hot take,
bad.
boys. They're going nowhere this year. Rough start to the year, and you kind of knew, okay, this isn't who Edmonton is. They're a lot better than this. They'll get hot. Listen, there's ups and downs for every team. They've played a lot of hockey. I just don't think this team is going anywhere. I think there are too many good teams in the West. Dallas, Winnipeg, Colorado is still really dangerous in my eyes, even without Rantanen. What I saw from them last night, if you take McDavid out of the game, which the Panthers kind of did, they're relying on a lot of Brett Kulaks and Arvidssons and Skinners. And for what it's worth, these guys killed the Panthers in the Stanley Cup Final last year. Look, they can always make a big move at the deadline and make a big play and get back into this thing, but I just don't see them as a real threat to win the Stanley Cup right now.
He jinxed them even worse than I did.
Rose and I are even on bad Oilers takes. One of the reasons this is so bad is because their depth has been phenomenal in the Stanley Cup playoff, and I said that if you just take McDavid away and you make Arvidsson and Kulak and whoever else beat you, it's a good strategy of attack. Well, I mean, McDavid's getting his, don't get me wrong, but their depth has been phenomenal. They look incredible. I cannot wait for the Stanley Cup Final, and I and Rosie are both the reason that they're back.
Rose, fail.
My fail of the week is that we have to go to Edmonton, but what can I say? That's my only fail. So,
all right. For those of you watching on DraftKings Network, you can watch our interview with Bob Wischusen from ESPN, and you can watch the rest of the show on YouTube. The Dan Levitard, it's Levitard and Friends YouTube page. Click on the playlist tab and click on our photo. Bob Wischusen's coming up next.
Howdy, listeners. It's Mike Ryan. That temperature, it's starting to turn up a little bit. Maybe you're going out on the boat. Maybe you're having a pool day. Maybe you're just hanging out in your backyard, your patio, and you're grilling. Oh, you're prepping the meats. You're looking at the family. You're enjoying your time with the friends. And guess what's in your hand? A Miller Lite. That's right. Miller time is the best time, especially when the temperature starts ticking up a little bit because you have a beer that's brewed for people like you and me, people who love their beer, and it cools your body down. I've been stocking the cooler with it for years, and for good reason. It's brewed for taste, only 96 calories, and 3.2 grams of carbs. This year, Miller Lite turns 50. That's 5 decades of cookouts, laughs, and ice-cold moments that never miss. The original light beer, and it's still my go-to. Miller Lite, great taste, 96 calories. Go to MillerLite.com/Dan to find delivery options near you. Or you can pick up some Miller Lite pretty much anywhere they sell beer. Cheers to 50 years of Miller time. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces.
We have Bob Wischusen from ESPN. He's been covering the National Hockey League and very many other sports for the worldwide leader. And Bob has had a majority of his career down here in South Florida. And he has seen many iterations of this Florida Panthers hockey club. And there's a story that he tells a lot about what the Panthers, as far as an organization, does to attract people to the game. Bob, can you share that story with us?
Like going all the way back to when they were first founded?
Yes.
Yeah, I was at WQAM 1993. The summer of 93, I arrived, my first job out of college. And that happened to coincide with the Panthers being founded. So I was at opening night. I was the first ever Panthers game. And then we were there nonstop. I was probably, if they played 41 home games, I was probably like 38 of them because wasn't getting paid a lot, realized that the media buffet was free. So that was nice. But I remember, obviously, Wayne Huizenga owning the team back in those days. He also owned not just Waste Management, but Blockbuster Video. Mm-hmm. And there was a Blockbuster Video across the street from our apartment complex, myself and John Chambi. And we used to go rent movies. And I remember when the Panthers were first coming into existence at Blockbuster Video to teach South Florida, which I don't know if this is still the case, but I remember being told that, Dade County spoke Spanish as a first language, like 70% of the people. Now we're trying to do hockey in downtown Miami. And so Wayne Huizenga had John Van Beesbrook record this, 10, 15-minute tutorial video of this is hockey. And it was like, this is icing. This is offside. This is hooking. This is fighting. You can't do that with your stick. And when you went to rent a movie back in the early 90s, you would get, if you wanted it, a free John Van Beesbrook explains hockey tutorial video.
Oh, man.
So you could go home and learn what the rules of hockey were. So if you went to a Panthers game, you'd have some idea of what was going on. And now the Panthers are a dynasty, and you've got kids of Cuban immigrants with Hispanic last names that are diehard hockey fans that have grown up with this franchise. And it's
and they
amazing.
all blow up your phone every single day.
Yes, love it. And it's exactly what it's supposed to be, right? It's worked. It's proven that it worked exactly the way it's intended to work, to introduce this sport to a population that probably never saw ice before, much less never was probably in temperatures below 50 degrees before, much less conceived of hockey, but then saw it, fell in love with it, grew up with it, loved this team, and now great crowds and an amazing general manager has put together an incredible team, and they might be on their way to back-to-back cups. So, to see it from its infancy, to see what hockey in Florida was like, 30 some odd years ago, and now what it is awesome.
I got to tell you, if that video is still around, we need to give it to Rosie.
I was going to say, do you have one, Bob? Do you still have one somewhere?
No. Well, I again, this is one of those things, you have no foresight. I would have held on to all of my, Star Wars toys if I would have known what they were, that it was going to be really valuable someday, or a collectible, right? So no, I didn't know that the John Van Beesbrook instructional tape was going to be something that you'd want to hold on to. I mean, I don't know, maybe somewhere, in the depths of YouTube, you can find it, or maybe there's some copy of it that exists out there somewhere, but I don't have it.
I'm literally Googling my butt off right now, trying to all these different terms. I'm searching for it, but I'm coming up with nothing right now.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
man.
But then again, we don't have VCRs anymore.
At Blockbuster Video, but I guess that probably wouldn't work either.
So, Bob, you were here. You're talking about the Panthers in their infancy. It takes me back to Miami Arena, downtown Miami, how different everything was back then. As somebody, you said you dropped WQAM. We have some familiarity with that. You had some veterans in the house, but knowing the hustle that has to come with being a radio producer, especially back then, give me your best South Florida sports story at Miami Arena, downtown Miami, Florida Panthers at that time.
Overtown.
Yeah, just what's your best / worst South Florida sports story from that era?
Oh, man, I don't even know. I could tell you how, strange, careers get started, right? So I get brought down to Miami to be the Hank Goldberg's producer, right? I was Hank's button pushing, call screening, traffic recording, guest booking, as you guys do, producer. Okay. And I'm getting paid $7.10 an hour, and I'm told to keep this under my hat. Because there were guys at the radio station that were living at home, but they hadn't cracked $7 an hour yet. This is, by the way, 1993, not 1953.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's radio.
So, right. So 1993, I'm making $7.10 an hour. But again, I'm paying rent. These guys are living at home. So I guess they figured if they bumped me up the extra 30 cents an hour, somehow that would help me make the rent in our apartment complex. And so, all right, I'm working every hour I possibly can. I am burning the midnight oil. I'm working 70-hour weeks just to try and hit overtime to get up to $10 an hour.
Yeah.
And our boy Joe Zagacki, right, who the voice of the Canes, who was our program director at the time, and
wow,
was probably only about 8 or 10 years older than I was. I mean, he was in his early 30s. I'll never forget. He comes into the control room one day. I'm probably there for like 2 or 3 months at this point, and I forget exactly how he phrased the question. But
do
the
a Josie right
question,
here. Do you have a
What's
Josie? Do you have a Josie impersonation?
Not really.
Hey, Bob, I need you to cover hockey.
What did you get a lick?
He comes into the control room, and again, I forget exactly how he phrased it, but the essence of the question was, do you know any other jerk off dumb enough to come down here and do what you're doing? Like, you have a guy. Give us one idiot that would be stupid enough to come here and work for $7 an hour. And I was like, I got just the guy. His name is John Shambi. I'm going to call him up, and he'll come down here in a heartbeat, because Boog was working, I think, at a radio station in Bradford, Pennsylvania, where there's like 100,000 people live in Bradford, Pennsylvania, and I think 75,000 of them at the time worked at the Zippo lighter factory. So that's where he was working, and he was done. Like, they were sending him with like a police scanner to cover car accidents. If someone hit a telephone pole, he'd have to go out and cover it, thinking he was going to be there for sports. So he's bailing. I called him up, and I'm like, you want to come sleep on our couch? And he's like, yeah, I'm on my way. And he basically hopped in his Tercel and drove south. And that was it. We ended up both finding QAM as a home. And he ended up, 3 years later, he's in a Marlins victory parade.
Yeah.
Well, I can tell you 32 years later, not much has changed in radio. Still getting paid
$10
very
bucks an
low.
hour is it's pretty good if you're working in radio getting $10 bucks an hour.
I'm painfully aware.
Yeah.
All right, Bob, we'll pivot here to actually talking about hockey, which we have not done enough on this show yet. And one thing I want to ask you about is from last night. You saw the Stars a lot this year. I feel like you saw them in the playoffs especially. And last night was really just, this whole series has been stunning, but last night it really feels like things really fell apart, especially when DeBoer pulls Ottinger, and there's Ottinger sitting on the bench next to Ray Ferraro. And this is the guy who I think should play goal for the United States next year at the Olympics. What do you make of all this? What kind of changes could be coming in Dallas? Like, do you think this could be the end of the line for Pete DeBoer, where all of a sudden there's a rift between him and his franchise goaltender? Like, what do we make of all that happened last night?
To me, that was not about Ottinger. That was about, I realized that I am down to my last button to push, really, because outside, again, of one flurry of power play goals in game number one, that was a non-competitive series. You hate to say it. And to me, that's like a football coach faking a field goal or faking a punt in the third quarter of a game that he knows he's probably out of. Right? Like, you're down to kind of your last button to push. And Ray Ferraro said it. It wasn't as much about Ottinger. It was about, like, he's been on that bench. He knows the impact that making that kind of a switch can have. And that's you're hoping that that's going to be the last, kind of light the fire under the rear ends of your team move you can make, when in reality, the Stars were not winning that game and the Stars were not winning that series. And I think to micromanage the big picture of what happened in all 5 games down to one decision made by Pete DeBoer when the series was pretty much all but lost would be, I think, blowing it out of proportion. Next year, Jake Ottinger will be the opening night goaltender, and if they can make a run next year, it'll be because Jake Ottinger's back where he's supposed to be, and that is as their franchise goaltender. And I think one conversation between Ottinger and DeBoer can probably put that to rest, at least between the two of them.
Yeah, they're both hockey guys. It's not like it's an unheralded situation that we've never seen before. It was just they were up against a juggernaut team from Edmonton. And that's kind of where I'm taking this now, Bob, is with the Oilers, the way that they're looking right now, they really dominated that series. A couple bad periods, couple bad penalty kills. But with Hyman going out, Ekholm coming back in, where are the Oilers right now as they head into this final? I know they're confident against the Panthers, but do you see them as better than they were last year and potentially a team that can get over the hump now?
Well, they got the thing to Game 7 last year, right? Like, they don't have to be that much better in order to possibly win the series. As a hockey fan, I know some people, rematch, okay, Edmonton, Florida. I want to see it, right? Sign me up for 7 more games of these two teams, because to me, the team that when they can get to their game with their superstars being arguably, certainly the best player on the planet, another top 5 player on the planet, What team is built better to come at you physically in waves, put an elbow in your chest and try and take you out of your game when you've got that kind of offensive talent than the Panthers? So to me, it's McDavid and Draisaitl and their supporting cast against a team that probably has the best antidote for that of any team in the NHL when they get to their game. And it's going to be which team can get to their game and take the other team out of it. And, I think it's a toss-up series. I'll probably pick the Panthers in 7 to suck up to you guys. But other than that, I don't know how anybody could sit there and say, I've got a great feeling about the outcome of this series. Like, there's no, I haven't even looked. I'm not a Vegas guy. I'm not an odds guy, but this has to be almost a pick'em series to start.
It is. I saw on ESPN last night that it's 110.
Yeah, it has to be like almost a coin flip result.
The Carolina Hurricanes finally won an Eastern Conference Final game. It took them about 15 games, but they finally did it. But they end up being 1-15 in the last 4 East Final appearances. And with the mess with Mikko Rantanen, where do you think they go from here?
I don't know. Because to me, that team, especially what happened the first couple of games of the Panthers series, there has to be a moment of realization where those guys are all sitting around the room looking at each other. And look, I don't know if anybody says it out loud. They probably don't. But you can look into the eyes of your teammate and tell, we can't beat these guys. We just can't. We can play as well as we're capable of playing, and we can't beat them. Our goaltender isn't as good as their goaltender. Our stars aren't as good as their stars. Our depth isn't as good as their depth. They're more physical than we are. The Panthers can do to you, especially if you've got a team. Like I've thought, it's got to be hard to be the Rangers as well, to be committed to guys like the Zibanejads and Panarins of the world, and then see the Panthers take those guys out of their game from regular season hockey to playoff hockey better than anybody. The fact that you have to go through that team to do it. Look what they did to the Lightning in the first round. You've got probably a Hart Trophy winner and certainly the, number 1 offensive player in the league, and Kucherov was invisible basically for the entire series. Florida does that to you. And when it's your turn and they do it to you, it's got to be a tough room to be sitting and looking at your teammates going, or at least thinking to yourself, the cartoon bubble coming all out of all of those guys' heads must have been, we can't beat these guys and we know it. And because anybody that watched the series could tell that it was just a matter of time. Even if they won a game, all it did was delay the inevitable.
Bob, I have a general announcer question for you before we get out of here. You are the voice of hockey, and that is a very difficult job. I can't imagine what calling a hockey game is like. I've been dying to ask you this question. On things like scrums in front of the net, block shots, saves, where the puck is just flying around, has your eye just been trained to know what's going on, or how often are you guessing and just being like, I'll wait for the replay and see what exactly happened here?
Well, I appreciate you saying that. My year ends at the end of the second round every year, so maybe someday it won't.
Shouldn't.
To me, if you've watched enough of the game and called enough of the game, it's a combination of calling what you see, trying to keep your eyes on the puck for as long as possible. Obviously, your eyes immediately go to the goaltender to see if you can tell from his body language, has he found it in all of that traffic? And then looking at the body language of all of the players around the goaltender. If you've got a guy furiously stabbing his stick, then either someone's about to get decapitated in a fight because you're stabbing the goaltender who's got the puck, or that thing must still be loose and he must see it. And so it's just describe what you see. That's really all it is. But the mayhem around the net, I'll give you a perfect one. The game-winning goal where Edmonton ended it against Vegas, you describe what you see, but there's a couple of sticks there, and we're kind of low and on an angle in Vegas. I couldn't see that Kapanen was the player that got the puck in the net in overtime until we saw him celebrate, and you knew, when they mobbed him that he was the goal scorer. But, that's just the nature of that little black disc in amongst sometimes a mosh pit. And it's probably a combination of trying to follow that, the goaltender, and then the body language of everyone that's involved in the scrum.
Finally, you said you had the Panthers winning this one. How many games and who is the early favorite for the Conn Smythe Trophy?
Well, I have 7. I mean, I would never pick these two teams in anything other than 7 games. And I don't have a problem, I like, where is game 1? We go to Edmonton.
Yeah.
I forgot. I don't have a problem. I would pick the Panthers in 7 regardless of venue because they're better on the road than they are at home at times.
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing how good they are on the road. So wherever the game is, I would pick them to have a great chance to win. I mean, the Panthers are so balanced, right? Like they're so deep. They've got 6 different guys that could be that guy. I don't know. Maybe I'll lean into Reinhart. Maybe he's just going to have a big series and score 4 or 5 and get a couple in game 7. And, he becomes the guy almost by default. But if there was ever a team that when they win, you could give that trophy as a group trophy, it's Florida.
Wow.
Right? Like they win. They are the definition of the sum of their parts. For Edmonton, if they win the series, it's almost impossible to not think it's one of 2 guys. For Florida, there's like 7 or 8 guys that it could conceivably be if you wanted to single one out. But that's a hard team to pick a guy on because they're so deep and so good.
It feels like because of that, it's Bob's to lose, right? They would just default to the goaltender, especially because he's played really well.
Yeah, it's like the quarterback's the MVP of the Super Bowl every year, no matter what, unless they got a running back that scores 3 touchdowns or something, right? Like you just give it to the guy that is never leaving the playing surface, basically. So, yeah, that makes sense.
Bob's got the Panthers in 7. You know what that means, Rosie? We're going to Edmonton twice.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go. Yeah. Bob Wischusen from ESPN, thank you for joining us. As it was sad that we have to travel to witness.
Could be worse.
We all think we know where our money's going until you actually look for it. And it happened to me between food delivery, teeth earrings for the baby, random Amazon orders. Life and things add up fast. That's where Monarch Money comes in. It's like having my own personal CEO, but one that doesn't judge me for ordering sushi 4 nights in a row. Listen, my wife really likes spicy tuna right now. What do you want me to tell you? Monarch brings all your accounts, credit cards, and investments together so you finally get the full picture. We started using it to track our spending and set goals that feel real. And you can see everything clearly, what we're spending, what you're saving, and what you should be doing. And it's not about restricting you, it's about helping you build the life you want. Whether you're juggling money solo or trying to get on the same page with someone else, Monarch makes it simple. It's why over 1 million households are using it and why the Wall Street Journal named it the best budgeting app of 2025. Get control of your overall finances with Monarch Money. Use code Dan at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code Dan. The conference finals are set. NBA history is on the horizon with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. You're not just watching, you're actually in the game. From player props to game lines, live bets, this is playoff betting at its best. New to DraftKings, bet just $5, and if your bet hits, you'll cash with $300 in bonus bets. The finals are almost here. Get in on the action now. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code DAN. That's code DAN for new customers to get $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY at 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bet must win to receive reward. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio.
I want to touch on for a little bit the conclusion of Game 5 and what happened with Paul Maurice and Rod Brindamore. Paul Maurice, who said he wants a players-only handshake line because, the coaches. Rose, your mic is on.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you. You can talk a little bit later, but you're snickering in the background. I don't know. This is about the thumbnail, isn't it? This is about the thumbnail for the YouTube.
Sorry, I did not know I had it on.
Okay.
Carry on.
Yeah, carry on. Anyway, Paul Maurice says that this is about the players, and the players should do a handshake line only. He
Yes.
did that for Toronto after the Toronto series. He did not do that for Tampa.
No, well, it was after the Tampa series that we first started talking about it with him, where it came up. I don't remember who asked or what brought the topic up, but I do remember after the Tampa series and shaking hands with John Cooper and everything, Maurice spoke about how he thinks it should just be the players, how a guy that just went to battle for potentially 6 or 7 games shouldn't have to shake hands with some guy in a tracksuit that he has no idea who he is. And, it's no disrespect to the trainers and the coaches, but it's the players on the ice playing the game. So I get where Paul Maurice is coming from. And as you said, there was no handshake line for the coaches when they beat Toronto. Him and Berube did it all on the benches, and that happened again in Carolina.
Yeah.
But got some attention. People were thinking that they were chirping each other or whatever between the benches. Like, no, it's a coach and his former player. One of them just lost the conference final again. So, I don't know, I get it. I like it.
Yeah. Rod Brindamore looked like he was annoyed. As a former player, I would think that, and Paul Maurice, I guess, would think that he would understand, especially him and Paul, because he played for Paul.
Yeah.
He was on his he was on his coaching staff in Carolina as well before Paul went to Winnipeg. So,
what Paul said after the game made it seem like Brod was fine with it, like that he understood that it was all good. So their animated exchange maybe was a little bit more visually than what it was like verbally. Like it sounded like they were very much on the same page based on what Paul Maurice said. But again, I agree. I think, I get where he's coming from. The coaches have their handshake line with each other next to the benches, and the players have theirs in the middle of the ice. I think that makes sense to me.
And a lot of this is because, he said it himself, the Panthers are really very much a player-ran club. It's on the locker room, on the ice, on the bench. It's pretty much all the players. He doesn't have to say anything to this team unless he really absolutely necessarily have to.
Yeah. When he needs to put on the goalie's pads and get down and start displaying.
So
yeah. That's the first thing I thought of was Maurice. You get too in close, you got to go up high. It's like,
and that's going to come in handy because, do the same thing as they did last year.
I'll just say this, people are making a really big deal about this. It's driving me crazy. 32 Thoughts today, I love that podcast so much. They spent more time talking about this than they did talking about the Panthers, and a lot of other shows I've listened to have talked about this more than they've talked about the Panthers. It's not a big deal. Like Paul Maurice, yes, he's been in handshake lines before. He's coached a lot of times in the playoffs. This is clearly something he's thought of recently, and he wants to try and change it, and it's not really a big deal. I think what he said was very thoughtful. He's always very thoughtful in his approach in press conferences, and, if you want to go listen to what he said, go find it, and I think it was a very thoughtful approach to this is about the players, and the players, this is their moment, and I want to stay out of that, and I don't think that's a very big deal at all.
It's a big deal because of the exchange that was caught on camera. If it's not caught on camera, he doesn't get 100%. He doesn't get asked about it. Plain and simple. So we're going to move on from there. Now, what I should have put as my fail of the week is PK Subban, because then this is coming back from the beginning of the playoffs. He did his playoff brackets. He was right about 2 matchups. The Winnipeg Jets and St. Louis Blues matchup, he picked Winnipeg to go to the second round, and the Vegas Golden Knights, he picked correctly to move past the Minnesota Wild.
Wow.
Everything else is a big fat 0. He had the Vegas Golden Knights defeating the Tampa Bay Lightning in the Stanley Cup Final.
That's a little embarrassing.
That's not.
I get where he's coming from. If anybody, if Tampa knocked out the Panthers, I could have seen them making a run, but that was a big if.
He has the current Stanley Cup Final matchup, the same one from last season, not making it out of the first round.
That's pretty bad.
The Kings almost did it.
I was going to say half of the hockey show.
They almost did it.
Also agreed with the Oilers.
No, I had the Oilers getting out of the first round.
No, I had the Kings winning the first round.
I had the Kings winning the first round, and so did Rosie.
Yeah, so
of course,
great.
I
but
did that.
second round on, I did the second chance bracket, and I'm 4 for 4.
I don't want to
count.
hear
That
about
doesn't
this
count.
second
Yeah, that
chance
doesn't
bracket,
count, bro.
That doesn't
Dave.
count.
You had to pick 2 matchups.
That doesn't
That's
count, bro.
total bullshit.
That
I don't
doesn't
care.
count.
That's ridiculous.
that
Don't
doesn't
try and
count,
take
bro.
credit for
There
this.
it is, right there.
This is the easiest thing you ever had to do. You had to pick Edmonton over Vegas, Dallas over Winnipeg, Florida over Toronto, and Carolina over Washington. And obviously you were going to pick the Panthers, and then you just had to pick between the Oil and Dallas, and that's pretty easy once you saw how the Oil were playing in the first round.
Wow.
This is ridiculous.
Okay, let's stop
Does
fighting.
it matter how you get there as long as you get there?
It does matter because you got to do it from the start. It's got to be from the start.
Okay,
It's got to
well, I
be
was
my
too late to
bracket
do
from
it
the
from the
start.
start.
How did your bracket do from the start?
I just told you I would have gotten the Oilers wrong in the first round.
See, this is why I don't do brackets, because now everybody's annoyed. And speaking of annoyance, we have a new bit on the show.
Oh, nice segue.
Yeah, I named it Dworky Sounds Off. Now, we can come up with a better name later.
Wait, what is this?
Dworky Sounds
You
Off.
got a new segment starring me that you're just telling me about now?
Yes.
All right.
Good. That's how we do it here.
And, I hope you are ready for this because here's the scenario. Paul Bissonnette, during the NHL on TNT's post-game show following Game 5 of the East Final, said that the NHL needs to do something about the Panthers, and I guess subsequently the Tampa Bay Lightning, since they're in the same states, but specifically the Panthers. The NHL needs to do an investigation about the Panthers taking advantage of the fact that the state of Florida does not have a state income tax. David, you have words on the issue. Please take it away.
Stop your bitching! That's for everybody that's complaining about this, all right? We didn't hear about this state income tax issue for 30 years when the Panthers sucked. Now, all of a sudden, they're relevant. They got somebody in the front office that knows what they're doing, that knows how to stretch a dollar, that knows how to build a team. Now, guys want to come here. So, yes, take advantage of it while you can. But, dude, it's been around forever, okay? It's not just Florida, Vegas, Dallas. Other teams have the same benefit, right?
It's not just hockey. It's every league.
Yeah.
It's every league has this.
I'm
It's
just
ridiculous.
sick of hearing about it because I feel like the last few years they're putting the Panthers up on this pedestal of it's only happening because they can make these great deals and yada yada. It's like, no, that's not the case at all. I'm just so sick. It's like a crutch. Like, get over it. The Panthers have built a great team. You want to get mad at someone? Get mad at Bill Zito.
The other thing about this is it only equates to 41 games a season or 61 games a season or 7 games a season.
Yeah, just the games that they played in Florida.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, outside of the teams that play each other, like Florida and Tampa and whatnot. But Canada.
So
Canada, the other thing. So, yeah, it's only this state income tax is only affecting half of your paycheck.
And I should know the answer to this, and asking it in real time, I'm probably making myself like a moron. But does that mean yet that the visiting players, when they play in Florida, are not paying the tax on those games?
That's correct, yes.
So, it's just a couple games, but, still a little bit more money that you're getting there. So, again, stop your bitching!
Yeah, so there's that.
I almost just dropped a F-bomb.
We have a minute and 50 left in the show, and we haven't really previewed the Stanley Cup Final.
That's what I'm getting to, because I want your predictions on the Stanley Cup Final. Yes, I know the answer about who you think will win. How many games?
7. Unfortunately.
6.
Hard to see it not going 7.
I think it's going to be a 6. Edmonton, don't hate me.
You have Edmonton in 6?
I think they're going to win because McDavid is coming with another mentality. And the thing is...
You think Edmonton's going to win?
Sadly, I am hoping is the Panthers that win.
You think Edmonton is going to win in 6 games?
I think so. I am sorry. And you can put me in my place right now because...
I'm not going to do that, no.
It's been just 2 years that I've been watching this team. But I feel like the Panthers, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, but every time that they're down...
the Panthers.
Yeah, it's hard for them to come back. Let's not talk about the last game because they did come back.
Okay.
But
they did that versus Toronto.
It's hard for them to come back, except when they come back.
But sometimes I feel like they like to suffer. So it's like, okay, they're winning 3, then they lose 3, and then they come and win it. So this time, I don't know. And they're better in the road. So are we not supposed to chant? That's why they're not playing good? Because we chant a lot?
No.
Okay.
Ethan.
All right, so I'm going to be honest here. I've watched a lot of sports in my life. There are 2
Can you be honest in 20 seconds?
There are 2 scenarios that this has made me think of. 2014, when the Spurs got back to the finals after losing to the Heat in 7 games, and the Spurs mopped the floor with them in 2014. 2009, Florida and Alabama in the SEC championship game. Florida and Alabama got back the next year. 2008 and then 2009. Florida won the first year. Alabama waxed them the second year. Panthers are unbelievable, and there are some unbelievable storylines in this series. You have this juggernaut of a team that can cement themselves as one of the greatest teams in NHL history, I think, by winning back-to-back Stanley Cups against the greatest player of their generation. Or you have the greatest player of their generation, and I'm getting this take off no matter what. So
for crying
just
out loud.
stick with me for a second, because we have to set this up a little bit. This is unbelievable.
I just asked you who's going to win and
you
how
have the
many
greatest
games.
player of all time trying to cement his legacy against this team that's gone to 3 straight Stanley Cup Finals now. It's going to be an unbelievable matchup, but there is a look in Connor McDavid's eye. and it just feels like it's setting up for Edmonton. Zach Hyman said last year they're going to be back.
He's not playing.
And they're back.
He's not
I
playing.
think Edmonton...
He's not back.
He's not back. He's gone.
Part of me thinks
He's gone.
Edmonton...
Did you see he has to get surgery?
Part of
He
me
already had
thinks
surgery.
Edmonton is going to win this series because it just seems like it's all lining up for them. But at the end of the day, there has been no point this year. Just let me roll. All right? Was it over when the Germans bombed Pearl Harbor?
Yeah, it is. It is.
Hold on, he's rolling.
Okay.
Thank you, Roy. Thank you
He's rolling?
for getting the reference. Anyway, look, the Panthers, there has been no point this year where I haven't thought they were going to end up exactly where they are now. And there hasn't really been a point where I thought they're going to lose this series until I saw that look in McDavid's eye. But at the end of the day,
Jesus Christ.
Cats in 7.
After all that,
Guys,
I'm looking into the eyes of Connor McDavid.
We spent the entire show talking about Joe Zagacki and John Shambi and Dallas, and we didn't set this up at all. This is an unbelievable Stanley Cup final with some unbelievable storylines, and we didn't set it up at all. I'm trying to set it up here.
Turn your mic on, Rose. Turn your mic on.
Ay, se enojó.
Okay, there you go. All right, so to recap, David has the Florida Panthers in 7. I have the Florida Panthers in 6. Rosie has the Edmonton Oilers in 6. And Ethan has
the Panthers in McDavid's eyes.
Yes. In 7.
I don't know what that was, dude. You just went on for like 3 minutes telling me about
yeah, because I'm trying to set it up a little bit, dude. Like, we haven't done anything previewing this series. I'm trying to set it up for our fans at home a little bit.
All right.
Like, it's going to be an unbelievable series. It's a toss-up. But at the end of the day, I think the Cats are going to win in 7.
All right, listen. When you cut up this promo...
He dropped the name. Sorry.
What name did I drop?
Connor McDavid.
Connor
No,
McDavid.
Bob Wischusen. You dropped that name. Listen, when you cut up this promo, make sure when you put yourself in this video that you put all 3 of us in here. All right? Let's because that was a long one.
In it.
That was a long one. I'm just saying.
Long one. But what I'm trying to say also, I gave it to Edmonton because maybe that gives them not low luck. So maybe the Panthers.
Reverse psychology coming out from Rose.
The reverse jinx like the Oilers tried to do last night with touching the trophy.
Yeah, I hope.
Oh, God.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's total. I'm just going to throw this in at the end of the show because it just popped into one of Roy.
It is the end of the show now.
Well, because I don't have another choice, but I'm adding it in here because apparently our colleague over on the main show, Mr. Dread Cote, is already columnizing Mick Overrated once again. There's a headline in the Miami Herald right now. Cody on Connor Mick Overrated. Dream Stanley Cup rematch and Panthers as face of a changed NHL.
God damn it, Greg.
We don't need to give him any more fuel, dude. This guy is pissed off.
Okay, we're like. You
can see it in his eyes.
4 minutes up.
Thanks, Rose. I'm pissed off now. Goodbye.
Howdy, listeners. It's Mike Ryan. That temperature, it's starting to turn up a little bit. Maybe you're going out on the boat. Maybe you're having a pool day. Maybe you're just hanging out in your backyard, your patio, and you're grilling. Oh, you're prepping the meats. You're looking at the family. You're enjoying your time with the friends. And guess what's in your hand? A Miller Lite. That's right. Miller time is the best time, especially when the temperature starts ticking up a little bit because you have a beer that's brewed for people like you and me, people who love their beer, and it cools your body down. I've been stocking the cooler with it for years, and for good reason. It's brewed for taste, only 96 calories, and 3.2 grams of carbs. This year, Miller Lite turns 50. That's 5 decades of cookouts, laughs, and ice-cold moments that never miss. The original light beer, and it's still my go-to. Miller Lite, great taste, 96 calories. Go to MillerLite.com/Dan to find delivery options near you. Or you can pick up some Miller Lite pretty much anywhere they sell beer. Cheers to 50 years of Miller time. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces.